When you slice into a typical citrus fruit, the goal is to extract the juice. But as you can see here, with the citrus macroptera, better known as the Satkara, the bitter, pale juice is immediately pushed aside. It's the thick, highly aromatic green rind that people actually want. In the Sylhet region of northeastern Bangladesh, cooks treat this rind almost like a vegetable. They simmer it directly into heavy beef and mutton curries, using its intense, tangy bitter flavor profile to cut straight through the rich animal fats. Over the last century, immigrants from Sylhet carried that specific flavor profile with them as they laid the foundation for the South Asian restaurant industry in the United Kingdom. Today, Sylheti expats own an overwhelming majority of these establishments. Rather than blending into a generic Indian menu, chefs are increasingly using the hyper-regional Satkara as a tool of culinary diplomacy. They are asserting their specific Bangladeshi heritage to stand out in a highly saturated market. But exporting that heritage comes with a massive physical bottleneck. The fresh fruit is roughly 75% moisture, meaning it spoils and rots within days in transit. It also faces a legal vulnerability. If neighboring agricultural regions start growing and exporting the fruit under the same name, they can easily hijack the Sylheti brand and siphon off the profits of its growing global reputation. Securing the Satkara's future requires fighting a two-front war. Producers have to halt biochemical decay on the cellular level, while the government blocks intellectual property theft on an international level. The urgency behind the legal fight stems from a hard macroeconomic deadline. In November 2026, Bangladesh will officially graduate from least developed country status. Stepping up into middle-income territory requires the country to adhere to international intellectual property rules, specifically the TRIPS agreement. To compete, Bangladesh has to rapidly formalize ownership over its cultural assets. This map illustrates the primary legal mechanism they are using to do this: geographical indications, or GI tags. A GI tag dictates that a product's quality and reputation are inextricably linked to its origin, meaning the name Satkara is locked exclusively to the Sylhet territory. The government is aggressively building a legal fortress around its heritage, having successfully registered 64 distinct products as of mid-2026. They've secured international rights to traditional craftsmanship, like the intricate Jamdani weaving process. They've also established protections for crucial agricultural exports, like the native hilsa fish, preventing international competitors from free riding on established Bangladeshi brands. Applying this GI tag to the Satkara creates an invisible legal border. It ensures that as the fruit's popularity scales globally, the financial dividends return directly to the local Sylheti farmers who cultivated the original reputation. However, owning the exclusive legal right to export a fruit is economically useless if the raw product turns to mush before it reaches a supermarket shelf in London or New York. Traditional preservation methods, like leaving the rinds out in the open sun, evaporate the moisture, but also destroy the volatile aromatic oils and essential nutrients that give the fruit its value. To solve this, food scientists are hacking the dehydration process using a method called ultrasound and osmotic pretreatment. In this animated diagram, we see the first phase, osmosis. Slices are submerged in a dense sugar solution, creating osmotic pressure that draws water molecules out through the cell membranes. Simultaneously, engineers blast the liquid with 40 kHz sound waves. This acoustic energy causes cavitation, punching microscopic channels into the cellular structure to create high-volume escape routes for the trapped moisture. This combined pretreatment slashes total drying time by up to 6 hours. It acts as a biochemical shield, allowing the dried rind to retain significantly higher levels of vitamin C and flavonoids compared to traditional sun-drying. Through acoustic and osmotic engineering, the delicate, highly perishable Satkara is now stabilized into a durable global commodity without sacrificing its nutritional profile or its signature flavor. Successfully scaling a heritage food in the 21st century requires intense coordination. You need international IP lawyers to secure the name, and biochemical engineers to secure the physical matter. This is the result: a dried citrus rind that can sit safely on an inventory shelf halfway across the world for months. Yet, the moment it hits a simmering curry, it releases the exact aromatic compounds grown in the soils of Sylhet. The Satkara is a clear microcosm of Bangladesh's broader economic evolution. As the nation approaches its 2026 economic graduation, it cannot rely solely on raw, unbranded agricultural output. To compete as a middle-income economy, developing nations must actively adapt their indigenous resources into highly regulated, high-value assets. Cultural preservation does not mean trapping history in amber. It means actively engineering your traditions to survive and dominate the modern global market.